I want to start by just saying hello to everybody online who's watching this series. This is another conversation in the Together Apart series, which for Poonam and Michael, we started, it came out of a conversation we were having with Toshi Regan because we were about to present Parable of the Sower, and we had to stop. And we, in talking with Toshi about the fact that we weren't going to be going into performance, she was saying that part of what we had to learn in this time was new ways of being together, and that expressing our support and our common call, basically, to the planet to heal and people to be safe, we were going to stand together by standing apart. So we've been, we created this festival that allows us to remain connected in this period of time when we have to stay distant from each other. Right. So welcome to the both of you, and to people who are watching. See You Yesterday was it's a remarkable event for us in many ways. And I'll get into some of the questions about how it was remarkable for you guys. But it was also the second time that we had worked with Global Arts Corps, but the first time that we'd worked with Far and with you, Poonam. So could you both give us a sense, first of all, where are we talking with you from today?
Well, I'm in Paris. We've been working out of Paris on a new project right now. And Poonam?
I am in Washington, D.C., working on my last semester at a community college in Silver Spring. And then after that, I'm going to Smith College.
All right. Oh, good for you.
Congratulations to you on that. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Good for you. Yeah. And so, Poonam, how has this been for you as a student in the U.S. in this time frame? How are you doing, and how are you maintaining your connections back to Cambodia at this time?
It has been a very tough semester. I would admit that. It's difficult to like stay focused and study from home. But at the same time, it actually forces me to talk to my family more and talk to my friends in Cambodia more. So, yeah. You know, I catch up with them a lot and ask them how's it going and how's everything. And as you know, when this pandemic happened, developing country tend to hit harder than developed country. So yeah, so I catch up with them a lot, and thanks God they're healthy. So that's good news.
Yeah, and do you know much about what's happening with the circus, either of you at this point, with Far?
Far, the school in Battambang province, also the company in Siem Reap City has been ordered to close by the government since March. So since that, all the others and staff members, they're temporary jobless, and we don't know when Far will be reopened again, because, you know, as you know, we depend on tourists to come see the show. So right now, because of the pandemic, because of everything is going on, we don't know when the economy gonna be recovered and if people still travel and spend money to see the show. Yeah. So that everything is very uncertain right now.
Yeah, it's a particularly awful challenge for different forms are challenged in different ways, but this kind of a physical theater work that you guys did to make this piece, it's so intimate and so impossible to protect yourself from the kinds of transmissions that, you know, routes that COVID's taking. I was just talking with an opera company, and opera singers are also uniquely at risk, because not only as spreaders, but because of the deep inhalation in their own work and the deep exhalations that it takes to and sustain exhalation. Oh, and there's Michael. You have to use your elbow, Michael, when you cough.
We have been quarantined for 2.5 months.
Yeah.
If there's anything that I could spread right now, I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, joy. Cheer
joy.
And joy.
That's the best I can do.
Yeah. So Michael, what's happening? You guys are in Paris, you're working on another project. What's happening for Global Arts Corps in general? Is Global Arts Corps working on the project, or is it a project that you and Jackie are?
No, actually, yes. Global Arts Co is working on a project, which is probably the largest project we've ever done in our life, which would incorporate theater, at least another 9 or 10 theater or performing companies. And we were going to put something together. There was a long developmental project with them, trying to basically, interestingly enough, the idea of the whole thing was based on what Poonam and that company found. And when we decided to go backwards in time, we have decided that this going backwards in time really works, and it works beautifully. And so we are doing a project that will be based on that overall process of exploring history back in time. Our problem, and a big problem, of course, for us, is to try and figure out how to do it now, because it would have resulted in over 50 and maybe even 60 actors on one stage at one time. And so, I realize that the idea of raising the money for that is awesome in and of itself, but at least it was a possibility. Now we have to look and see how can we use technology? What can we do that works, that can really work for us? Because I mean, the notion that what we've seen in remote presentation has either been a scripted play that has been done, or it is being shown in performance. Whereas our rehearsal process is what I really want to record and I want to film, because it brings out so many relationships between so many cultures. So the question is, do I have the skills to, or can any of us manage to do that kind of massive improvisation where there are tremendous emotions involved, where there are tremendous conflicts between people? So I'm just trying to get to as many high-tech people to see if they can tell me something that would be helpful. I'm very, very interested in developing a new sound system ability to work with sound, so that I could work out something where I could have the beat that music has that allows this to happen.
Yeah.
If you have a beat, you have ensemble of at least a piece of ensemble. If you have a melody, you have a piece of ensemble. But when you're just probing, and silences and the rustle of clothes are important, I'm having a little problem trying to figure out how I'm going to do it as well.
Yeah. Can I ask, and for those who are new to the company, I'm going to say this, paraphrase you, Michael, but I think it's close enough. One of the sort of defining sentences in your purpose statement is about trying to reconcile the past to survive the future. Is that?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it started out to being, can we forgive the past to survive the future? That's when we were working with the South Africans and with the Truth Commission there. Yeah. But it has evolved into, can we take a good, hard look at the past, realize that we've come out of it, and can we then reconcile or at least live together productively without answering fear with violence, with et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And so in this time frame, this is such an important question. I mean, it's always been an important question, but now it's a sort of a common question of the world. All of a sudden, how will we come out of this? And will we be able to move into the future and thrive in the future, not just survive in the future, as we come out of this moment? I wonder, in Cambodia first, let me just ask you, Poonam, the essence of that question about, can we forgive the past or let go of the past in order to thrive in the future? Do you think that this moment is in any way changing the challenge for Cambodia around forgiveness, around reconciliation, around what the conflict actually is? There's a kind of great unifier in this virus in this moment. It doesn't actually care where you come from or where you live. And so I just wonder if you can imagine that there's some kind of unifying moment here, or is it just complicated, the reconciliation more?
Well, first of all, the work that Global AdCops, like did the show with FAR, it's very important. The show itself shows exactly what's going on in Cambodia. As the younger generations, we don't know much about the past history. It's like we don't know, our parents don't really talk about it. So the show itself, there's the scenes where everyone, the killers in the past, who was like member of the Khmer people who actually live right now in the present days with the civilians, it's still happening. People in Cambodia, if you go to villages and provinces, you would see that everyone knows someone that, like, oh, that guy was a Khmer soldier in the past. He probably have killed someone. We kind of know, but they try to live together. They like live like the victim and the Khmer soldiers kind of like live together in the present time. So the term of forgiveness is that I would say that 90% of Cambodians they practice Buddhism. So a lot of us learn to forgive through our religions. A lot of us don't know that, don't understand fully what is going on in the past. But at the same time, the grief of this part of the history is so deep inside us that a lot of us don't actually talk about it. Our parents don't really talk about it. Survivors don't really talk so much about it. So we kind of go along, and I think it's still important to actually learn about the history, but also I can see that Cambodians, especially the young generation, actually moving on. They learn about it and then they kind of go on and want to explore the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Michael, the other thing that Global Arts Corps uses that I've always held on to as, a vision of why your work is important is that you speak to the notion of rehearsing forgiveness and reconciliation. In the making of the work, the rehearsal process itself is actually calling into the world the substance of and the potential, the possibility of forgiveness in the rehearsal room, and in that just the practicing of it or imagining it is important at the outset. Is there anything that you've learned about that technique or that power that we could look to now as we're trying to figure out how to come out of this? I mean, I think one of the things that I'm struck with today is the degree to which we, as you say, we've been quarantined for months now. We've become accustomed to it, and the kind of resistance now, or maybe the trauma now, of returning to some of those large events, or getting out into public, and even to a grocery store, or to, let alone a play, that this sense of how we come out of it is going to be really important. And I wonder if you have ideas about rehearsing it, or anything that you've learned in trying to make plays that imagine the end of conflict, or the resolution.
Yes, I mean, look, the interesting thing, I mean, the thing is, it's, the show must go on. So
we'll come back to that. Keep going.
The show must go on, first of all. But second of all, what the notion of a rehearsal is that no matter what bumps you're going over, you're looking to finish the show, and you're looking so that everybody in your ensemble is playing in a show that they want to be in and that they want to be part of in terms of the communication. So during a rehearsal period, remember, we bring together people who could have been looking down the barrel of a gun at each other 10, 15 years ago. We look at people who have suffered through things that I, as a director, can only sit back and ask questions about. But the group of people, the voices from which the show comes is made up of not only many different languages and cultures, it's made up of many different human languages. And that's where the rehearsal comes in. You put an ensemble together, people feel each other. One of the reasons why I love this cast and all the friends we've made and all the people we've made is they were huge mentors to us in a very simple thing. And you know this so well, we all in the theater know it so well. The biggest thing that we have to do to make a piece of theater work is to create an ensemble. And we all know that even the best of us have put together a true ensemble maybe only 10 times in our lives, where we can look back and say, now that was an ensemble. Those people talk to each other with their muscles. They talk to each other with the sweat on their brows. They talk to each other by listening to somebody moving in their seat. They learn to pick up all that. Now, the Cambodian cast, of course, was a circus before we came to them, where the one thing that they have learned beyond anything else, I think you'd agree with me, is that they have each other's back. They are responsible for the safety of each other, we have never put an ensemble together so fast in my life. And I at the risk of hubris, I say I've gotten pretty good at it. But I have never in my life been able to put it together as quickly. Mm-hmm. And everybody that worked with us, everybody on the team that worked with us were just aghast. Because many of these performers had never acted before, and they turned out to be such fine actors at the same time. Where did that come from? Mm-hmm. I believe it came from the ensemble. If that's the case, then individual potential can also come from the group if we recognize something about the group, and you'll stop me, won't you? Because
yes, I will. I do. I want to stop you 1 second because you brought up the ensemble, and they're such a powerful group of people together, and individually they're so beautiful. And I know people who have seen this, either saw it live or have now watched it streaming, are going to be curious how everyone's doing. And Panam, do you know how the individual cast members are doing and what's happening there? Or Michael, maybe can you update us on what's happening?
I know that a lot of the cast members are temporarily jobless because of the school and the company has remained closed in March. Some of them they have found alternative jobs just to do other jobs, so that they can make some money to support their kids and wife. At the same time, I know that FAR has opened the circus school for some time for them to train, but still keep a safe distancing, mm-hmm. 6 feet apart. Sometime, a couple of days a week, yeah.
Uh-huh. And so they remain committed to the form, and they remain committed to the company. But yes. They're not currently able to be employed by the company, no. And they're not performing the show.
But I've seen some funny video on Facebook that they work out from home. So some of them just, juggling 3 coconuts at a time, or eggplants, handstand and stuff at home. So that is really joyful for me to see them.
Yes. Oh, we'll have to try to find those and see if we can share them with our audience, because people really...
They're hysterical. I love them. They're absolutely... I just love them.
Even better that they're funny. Isn't that something that we need? Yeah. Yeah. And Michael, you have... Global Arts Corps is more than you and more than Jackie. And your company, your folks are spread out. You have some people still at work in New York?
Oh yeah, we have a few people in the States. We have a few people in California. We have one in Jackson Hole, and we have some of the team in New York. We have a lot of the team, a few members of the team in Kosovo and in Serbia. We have members of the team, obviously, in South Africa, Cambodia, and Ireland. Mm-hmm. I've been in touch with a lot of the people, and people who have branched off into many. Our work is so involved with where the country is at the time that we're involved, that you see people go from becoming just one of the actors in a soap opera star to becoming, one of the major figures in the government in various places. They all seem to be doing well. I have not heard of anybody that has actually been seriously captured by the virus.
Oh, well, that's good too.
Which is wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Poonam, I did not know that things were as bad there, and I did not know that all that was happening. We're going to work so hard to have another tour for you when this thing is over.
Yes, and that's one of my hopes for this whole series, is that people will get a chance to see it who might not have seen it, been able to get to Boston. But yes, there are myriad challenges in touring at this point, particularly international touring. And yet we're resilient people, and we will solve those challenges. And this company is in it for the long haul, and will still be available to bring this kind of experience to the communities around the world. And
listen, the way I look at it is, when Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland couldn't find a barn, they found something else. Now the barn's burned down, and we have to build something else to be able to do it. And that's all.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the show must go on piece that I mean, I've said this in multiple moments at this point in the series, but what was funny about that phrase to me, Michael, was when the virus was approaching and it was becoming clearer and clearer that one was going to have to shut down, I was finding myself in that place of no, the show must go on. I was treating it like it was bad weather. As long as the T's open, we can do our play. And all my training as a theater producer was, this show we are going to be the last to close, damn it, And it was actually completely the wrong instinct, and luckily I had a staff who had more sense than I did about what was happening. And Toshi, as an artist, was able to say to me, yeah, but that's not right. That's the wrong instinct. In some ways, there will be a show. The show will go on eventually.
But I mean, the instinct is to invent that we have never not opened. So if we have to open in this new world of remote activities, we're going to figure out and get together real quickly with the top engineers in the world, and we will figure out, we will learn new techniques. That's all I'm saying. No, absolutely. I understand what you're saying. Absolutely. But we will try to break the barriers. And let me tell you something. When you're my age, the incredible, aside from the terrible envelope of sadness that we live in when we see all these people whose lives are being ruined, for somebody our age to be able to say we're entering a new era where we have to invent new things. How many people our age get that gift? Now, if we get to live as long as we want to live, we will have taken another quarter of our life and made something out of it. And that's a pretty wonderful thing to be able to do. So even the thinking, even the despair out of where we're thinking sometimes, where something seems impossible. I mean, it's like, how do you rehearse like that? Well, these people have never even met. Yeah. You can't even go out for a drink. You can't have but we're in different countries and we're still trying to do it. But yes, the show must go on. Your instincts were absolutely the survival instincts that we need, not the survival instincts of the people who say, well, the hell with it, I'm going to do it anyhow and I won't wear a mask.
Exactly.
I'm not looking, for that is one of the worst things in our country, and let's face it, anywhere else we find it. It's one of the most selfish, most self-serving, me first attitudes that, and if a society finds itself wrapped in that, they better the hell get out of it pretty quick.
Yeah, well, the virus is here to teach you that that is not the way to live. So, but So you hear like, so Michael and I are closer in age than you and I are. And I am similar, Michael, to you in that this sense of, and it is something of privilege. I've got to acknowledge I'm in a very privileged situation. I work at a place that has a whole college underneath and behind and surrounding me. I work with really a group of people that is all committed to the same set of ideas, and we're all still in, and we're doing all of this. And we have the moment to be excited as well as concerned for what we get to learn and what we get to make and how we get to reimagine. That's what we're doing. We're literally, that's the moment that all of our jobs right now are reimagination. That's everybody has that job title right now here in our business. I wonder for someone who's just starting out, what does this feel like about your future? What are you seeing? So you're going now on to the remainder of your undergraduate degree, right, at Smith?
Yes.
So what are you seeing? What are you feeling? What does it even sound like to you to hear two old people saying, yeah, this is exciting, we're learning new things still, and we love the challenge?
It's very conflicting right now because with the pandemic that's going on, I didn't know that America and the world actually experienced the 1918 Spanish flu, so-called Spanish flu. So to actually educate myself about this issue, I'm actually finishing my final draft, a research essays, compare and contrast between the 1918 Spanish flu and the COVID-19, which is my final project to graduate. So for me, as a way to understand things, I like to look back at the history. As a younger generation, this is the first time that I'm going through a pandemic. So a lot of time I look back and find out what happened in the past and how did we get out of it. So it's a one way for me to kind of like educate myself and then hope for the future. Because I believe that if in the old time, 100 years ago, people make it through, I think with this modern technology and advanced medication and everything, I think we will make it through, and we still need to hope for the future. Mm-hmm. But my real concern is about my families and my friends in the circus in Cambodia, because you can cut this part out, it might be too personal, but I think that I hope for them to reopen the big top in Cambodia is gonna be tough. Because we don't know if people will have the mean to like recover from this impact of the COVID-19, and if they're willing to travel all the way to Cambodia and spend money to see the show. Yeah. And as you know, a lot of my friends who are in the circus, the only job that they have is being a circus performer. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we know that there's, the race for a vaccine is one that, a sport that we're all watching. I mean, if they could televise it, I would watch it 24 hours a day, just to see, because these forms are so dependent on the energy of a crowd, not just financially, but the form itself ignites in a crowd in a way that it doesn't ignite in the same way, on film or alone in a studio. And so there's certain kinds of challenges we've not yet faced or solved as to how to translate liveness for events like that. And certainly the big top is one of them. Sitting in a crowd that size when people are pulling off these extraordinary feats is a very special deal. So Michael, you also have, I wonder if there's a way for us to get people access to the documentary of the making of this work.
I would love to. It's a very good piece of work. I have not yet figured out whether it is going to be something that the festivals are going to jump at. However, yes, in however we can do it, it's there. A cut is there. We have not had the money to finish the bells and whistles, to do a final mix or to do a color correct or anything like that. Hopefully somebody will come up with that. But if not, we still have this very, very solid, very, very beautiful movie.
Yeah.
And it really does tell the story of this extraordinary cast of people who use the fragments of tiny little fragments of what they overhear to create a truth that the elders actually came and saw and says, yes, that was the truth. They got the truth. Mm-hmm. So that there's something about, and this is something that I think we all ought to pay attention to. Everybody's running around trying to figure out how you can reconcile people who used to be killing each other. And we're not paying any attention to the thoughts that are in the minds of young people. And I'm talking about young people from 6 years to where Poonam is. You know, that what we're talking about is that they hear fragments. And the more imaginative they are, they put together a reality of fragments. And we try to do that on the stage as actors, don't we? But we're also looking at a group of people that took only fragments of a knowledge of their history and created a full, complete reality of that history. And lo and behold, the people who lived it came and watched it and came over and hugged these young people and said, you got it exactly right. Mm-hmm. How did that happen? It happened in a way through the arts that I had never envisioned was possible. Because it's not just the flip of a single person's imagination. It's a whole country of people on one stage at the same time coming to it. And nobody told them. They're not imitating what their parents or their elders told them. They are creating in their own mind. This is the way it must have been. And lo and behold, that is the way it was within certain. This is, to me, is the true potential magic of what they created, but also of the whole theater arts. It's always been, to me. That I would, you know, would we really be in it if we didn't think that we could turn it into that? Because that's the way we were trained.
Yeah. And how did you come to FAR? What was your first experience with FAR?
Well, that was very interesting.
No, I was asking Poonam. Sorry, wait, Michael, I'll get you too.
Oh, you're asking Poonam?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
That's all right.
It's I known FAR since I was 7 years old. So it's like I'm 28 now, so it's been a long time. Similar to the other artists in the show, we live in the same village. So FAR was a free school, and then they have free meals for students, and then that's why they attract me and attract other students who go to FAR. So we wanted to have food, and we go there and we get food to eat, and then we also have an opportunity to learn circus and to learn other art skills. So that's how it started. It started all by food and toys and circus trick that they show us. So we stick around.
What are your specialty areas in circus?
I am a contortionist.
Okay.
Yes, so that means I'm flexible. I can take my leg up to my my face, and I can do handstand. I can shoot a balloon with an arrow using my feet while standing on my hands. So that is my specialty.
And do you keep up? Are you still? Do you train still, or do you still perform?
I do perform sometime in the area with the Cambodian community and Asian communities, but most of the time I volunteer because as a student I cannot work to earn money, so I perform at the community for their Asian festival or Cambodian New Year's, and also at the school when they have student talent shows. So I would go and perform for the school and the community. So I don't work 6 hours a day anymore. Like I don't train 6 hours a day, but I do 5 hours a week. So that's a good amount.
Yeah, wow. I didn't realize you were keeping it up to that extent. And tell me, how did you wind up in, is it BMCC that you're just finishing at?
No, I'm finishing up a community college called Montgomery College in Silver Spring.
College,
Yep, and I got a scholarship to go to Smith. So right now I'm going to Smith, and
And
finishing
how did
up
you
my
come to
bachelor
Montgomery
degree.
College? How did that happen that you wound up landing at Montgomery College?
I came here in 2016 with a sponsor in Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin, but I studied there for 4 months and then it didn't go well. He kind of like, oh, I can't support you anymore. And then I'm lucky enough to have my host family in Washington, D.C., who actually said, oh, come and live with us. We're gonna have you to go to school. So I live with them and go to school, and I raise money every semester from friends and sponsors and fans who used to support me in the circus. So they give me money, and then together we put together money and send me to go to school. So now I'm finishing up. So it is a big journey.
Yeah. Well, and you'll
Yeah.
be at Smith, so you won't be that far away from us when you actually get to go to school at Smith. And for the Lowell community as well, you've got a lot of
Yes.
Cambodians in the area. It's fantastic. And Michael, how did you wind up with FAR? Yes, please do answer the question. I'm sorry that I threw you for.
It was somebody from France who, we were performing the last show of Truth in Translation in Sarajevo. And we were at the National Theater in Sarajevo, and we made the plane the next day, and there were a group of NGO people, and there was somebody from Paris named Xavier Ricard who says, I saw the play, you must go to Cambodia. It was as simple as that. He said, I want you to go to Peru, I want you to go to South Africa, and I want you to go to Cambodia. I said, let's start with Cambodia. And then I met Det. The group, and Poonam was here, and a group came here, and I saw the performance, and I met Det. And Det and I liked him immediately, and Det said to me, yes, we'd love to have you come and help train our people to be actors, to come in. And I said, we would love to. And he said, look, there's just one thing that you got to remember. If you say yes, you have to come forever. You cannot come 1 year and then not come back, and then another year and not come back. I said, that's what we live for, Det, and that was it. So then we went, and the first year we got there, they didn't even know we were coming. There's something that strange happened when we showed up, and Poonam was one of the 2 or 3 major leaders of the circus by that time. She was the star of the circus, and it just evolved, and we kept coming back. It took us a long time because we had to raise the money, but I fell in love with it immediately, and I just saw it as it was such an opportunity to work with people who were physical completely, but not trapped within a complete form. You know, it's not working with a dance company. It was working with a group of absolute free spirits who could do anything and could mess around like kids playing, and at the same time do something that's, you know, is a huge social thing that they do when, as I said, when they have each other's backs and you watch it in action and you watch them go through danger together. It's extraordinary, and that's the nature. That's what I was always looking for in theater. So they actually gave that to me. That was a huge gift to me and Jackie, and we will never forget that. And everybody I've brought in from all over the world to work with this company has said exactly the same thing. Yeah. It's an unusual group, Poonam, and we got it. What can I say?
Well, let's leave it there. It's a beautiful group. It's an unusual group. And there's a lot of love between you two, I can tell, between your companies, and more to be done. And I just want to amplify the very real opportunity for people in the audience who have connected to the work to make very direct differences in the lives of those performers, that there is an opportunity to support, and support is needed. And so we would welcome, yes, of course, you know, we love that people support our arts organizations here in the US, but we support our artists wherever they're from and however we can. And we would love it if you feel so inclined to reach out to FAR and figure out what you can do to help. And we're glad, Panam, that you have a full scholarship, but also, you know, she's coming to Smith, you guys. Somebody pick her up and wrap her up there because she'll need your help. So thank you both. I can't wait till we're all back in the theater again. And thank you for making the piece available to us online and for making time today to visit.
And David, thank you for giving us a home for so many, in so many places. It's been an extraordinary experience. Anytime.
Yeah, likewise.
All right.
Thank you.
All right,
In
yeah.
Cambodia, we say thank you with our hands on.
Thank you. Take
Thank
care.
Take care, everyone.
Take care. We'll talk soon.